Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 16 Bitchin' Podcast, part of the Retro Refresh family that can be found in many podcasty places and YouTube if you can't be asked with said podcasty places. And today is another special one. We have a YouTuber who has recently hit 5,000 fucking subscribers, so I secretly, not so secretly, hate him. But never mind. Today's special guest is Retro Wolf.
88.
Exactly. Because I nearly forgot, twat. It's because you don't have a video in front of me. It just says Retro Wolf, so I forgot the 88.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay, man. I mean, look, the most important part is the Retro Wolf part, so if you forget the 88, that's fine.
I'm guessing the 88 is because you were born in 88, yeah?
Exactly. I was born in 88, man, so...
There you go. Educated guess. See, I'm not as stupid as I look, sound, and smell. So let's see, you've recently hit 5,000 subscribers, but that doesn't mean everybody knows about your channel. So how would you describe it? How would you describe the Retro Wolf 88 channel?
So first of all, I want to say thank you to you for having me on here, man. I really appreciate it. I love doing stuff like this. And actually, Tom from Do You Nerd turned me on to your channel. And this morning, I realized I wasn't freaking subscribed to your channel. I just realized that this morning. So I'm like, what the hell, Matt? Why are you not subscribed to Sega Head's channel? So I hit that subscribe button this morning. So I rectified that. But anyway, so my channel's constantly evolved since I started doing it 3 years ago. I'm always changing things up a little bit. So these days, I do a lot of focus on GameCube. So I cover a lot of GameCube topics. Every month, I review a GameCube game in a series called GameCube Gallery. And then I do, just any other random sort of video that I want to do, whether it's on retro gaming, modern gaming, or anything in between. And here lately, I've started doing a new hunting series. So my first video game hunting episode came out a couple of weeks ago, turned out really good. Very, very happy with it. So I'm excited to get that series going. But one other thing I want to mention is I do have a second channel that actually, if you've never watched it, man, I think you will fucking love it because it's hilarious. It's called Mama Retro. Yeah, Mama Retro, man. It's where I sit my mom down and have her play games. And normally that might not make for exciting content, but the thing about it is my mom is extremely fucking eccentric, borderline crazy. And the way she reacts to video games is insane. And it leads to just so many hilarious moments. And she's unpredictable. You never know what she's going to say or do. And she physically abuses me during the video. So there's that too.
I've seen some of that. I've actually seen more of her videos than I have yours.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, you're right. She's quite a fucking character. She is funny as hell. I have a request, actually. You've got to get her to play because I know you quite enjoyed playing it. This is not my fault. I want to put that out there. Tom would Do You Nerd made you do this.
Oh, yeah.
The Flintstones on Master System. He thought it'd be funny to make you play it. Now, what's your quick review of that game?
Well, let me start with the good. I like the visuals. They were okay. Okay. That's all the good. That's the only good. I somewhat enjoyed the visuals. Everything else was pure shit. The game gives you absolutely no direction as to what you're supposed to do. You just have to click buttons and figure shit out. It makes no sense. Why am I painting a wall in a Flintstones game? And why am I putting a baby back in a crib or whatever the hell it was? Oh God, dude, fuck that game.
The bigger question, I only notice this now that I'm an adult, because this game I had as a kid, right, is for some reason you're painting a wall. The bigger question is, why are you not putting on a roof? I can see the sky. His house doesn't have a fucking roof. Why am I painting the walls?
That is a good question, man. And I don't have the answer. Nobody does.
Did you get past level 1?
I did not, but I feel like if I had tried it a second time, I could have passed level 1, but I would honestly rather eat an entire clip of bullets than play that game again.
I want to see you and your mum play that game and get the level 3. I don't expect you to get to the final level because most people can't, but I want to see you get to the 3rd level.
Hey, listen, I think that would make for a funny episode, so we'll see if we can make it happen.
Oh, there'd be a few fucks thrown in the air then, guaranteed.
Yeah, and then she would slap me every time I say it. But in the last Mama Retro episode that we filmed recently, I was able to get her to say fluck, not fuck, but fluck. I was able to get her to say flucking.
So are you a bit down with swearing? You try to minimize that on YouTube?
It depends on the video. It depends on the video. On my channel, I try to keep it to a minimum. It just depends on the podcast. Sometimes I'll let it rip, and some videos I'll let them go, and then sometimes I'll censor it because sometimes I think it's funny when you censor it in certain contexts. It can be funny.
Yeah, the censor beep sound alone. For some reason, that's always a funny sound.
Yeah, it really is, man. So yeah, it just depends on the video.
So that's your channel and that's your mum's channel. What about your podcast? It's called Retro Wolf 88 podcast then.
Just Retro Wolf podcast, because Retro Wolf 88 podcast just doesn't flow.
You see, people, I can't fucking get it right. I'm wrong one way or the other. So what's the podcast about?
I mean, really, so it's me, and I recently brought on some co-hosts, two really good friends of mine. They have a YouTube channel called Retro Gaming Pandemic. They're a fairly new channel, right at 400 subs. So they're my co-hosts on the podcast because I got tired of doing it by myself. I was like, you know what? I'll bring some co-hosts on, see how that goes. And it's been great. And we started doing it live as well, which adds a whole new dynamic because you got the audience interaction, you got trolls coming in and shit. So that's always fun. But we try to bring on guests, guests of all, just not just YouTube, but like YouTube, everything from big YouTubers to small YouTubers, everything in between, but even some guests outside of YouTube as well. And we've got a lot of pretty exciting guests lined up for the future that I think is going to be pretty cool, yourself included.
Yeah, the only pisser we have is fucking time difference. Jesus, It's been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, for real.
So let's see then. What would you say is your best YouTube moment, memory-wise, and the worst? Can you think of them?
Oh yeah, that's a good. Nobody's ever asked me that question before.
I can't tell if that's fucking sarcasm or not.
No, I'm serious. No joke, dude. Nobody's ever asked me that question before. So my best and favorite YouTube moment.
Yeah.
Let's see, man. That's a tough one, dude. That is a tough one. So, all right, if we're talking strictly in terms of my YouTube channel, the content, that sort of thing, I would have to say, two videos that I made, called. The first one was called 10 Things You Can Do with a GameCube, and then I made a sequel to it. Those are the most batshit crazy videos that I've ever made. They're extremely over the top, very stupid, very cringy. I mean, dude, I literally try to grill a hamburger patty on a GameCube. I use a GameCube as a cookie jar. I use a GameCube as a booster seed, as just all kinds of crazy shit, dude. It's really, it was just an idea that struck me while I was at work, man. I was at work and I was like, what if I made a video where I show people different things you can do with a GameCube that has nothing to do with playing video games? And then I just the first video, dude, I got off work and I literally just improvised the entire thing just off the cuff, and it turned out hilarious. And then I made a sequel, which was a little less improvised, but even crazier. I used the GameCube as drum sets, just all kinds of wild shit. So that's probably one of my favorite moments as far as the content goes. But I mean, outside of that, just to throw a second one in there, just all the awesome people that I've got to meet and become friends with. That's the number one thing that I've gotten out of YouTube.
You do meet a lot of people doing this shit, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of cool people too, man, for sure.
So there you are, everyone. You know what kind of video to look out for on his channel. By the way, the link will be in the description of this podcast, wherever you're watching or listening to it. But what's the worst thing that's happened? Or the worst thing you can think of right now?
Okay. Yeah. So first off, I want to say, if you get a chance to watch those videos, I'm really curious to get your reaction and see what you think about them. I think you're going to enjoy them.
Okay.
I think they're right up your alley. Now, as far as the worst, okay, so this is kind of fucking funny, dude. So one of my episodes of GameCube Gallery, I reviewed a racing game, a cell shaded racing game called Auto Modelista. And it was one of the worst racing games I've ever played in my life, mainly because the driving physics were just pure shit, dude. It was the worst controlled racing game I've ever played in my life. It was awful. So I put out that video and I completely shit on the game, as it deserved to be shit on. It had a few good qualities that I pointed out. And the video turned out really good, but here's the funny thing. And I don't know if this is necessarily the worst moment, but I got a kick out of it. But it shows off the negative aspect of the community. I had the entire fucking Auto Modelista fan base come after me in that video and just start talking all kinds of shit in the comments. It was literally an Auto Modelista Discord fan page, like 12 people on there. So the 12 fans of Auto Modelista that are out there in the world came and attacked me on the channel. They were like, "You're just shit at the game. You suck. You got to get good." And I'm like, bro, you could spend 1,000 hours playing Superman 64 and probably master the game and be able to play it and make it look easy. That does not make it a fucking good game. That just means that you wasted 1,000 hours of your life getting good at a game that controls and plays like shit. Well, that's kind of like Auto Modelista, except it's not as bad as Superman 64. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the only kind of situation that popped into my head. Just some of the negativity of the community that can happen sometimes.
Oh yeah, most of them come out of Reddit. I've been attacked a few times over the stupidest of things. I won't go into it because it's not about me, but yeah, there's some people out there, like if you attack any game, even the worst games in the world, it will still have a fan base. Just because when people grow up with a game, you haven't got a lot of choice. Sometimes that's the only thing you get. So you think, oh, this game's brilliant. No. I grew up with Terminator 2 on Game Boy. It's LJN and it's shit. You get one life, no continues, it's bollocks. But I have fond memories of it, even though it's crap flavored ice cream. It's not worth playing.
Yeah, and you know, it's just the freaking world we live in, man. People can't handle other people's opinions for some reason. People get so upset at another person's opinion, which at the end of the day, why do you give a fuck about somebody else's opinion? Formulate your own opinion, have your own thoughts on things. And I would never like, dude, if you told me right now, Matt, I fucking love Auto Modelista, I would be like, well, awesome, man. I'm glad you like it. I hated it, but I'm glad you like it. I wouldn't shit on you for liking a game that I hate, or vice versa. If you hated a game that I love, I'm not gonna, attack you for it. It's just weird, man. People are weird.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the best way to react. Is just like, you enjoy it, good. I'm glad someone does.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Heart of Darkness on PS1?
I have not. Never even heard of that game.
Good for you. I was made to do a Let's Play, and I gave it my all. I really did. But I must have died 1,000 fucking times. And every time I got to a new screen, because it's kind of like Abe's Exodus in game style, I just found a new way to die. And then another new way to die. I thought, this game is shit. But I knew that it would have been funny for people watching me die so much. So I thought, oh, well, at least the video will be funny to watch. That's the main thing. And then a big fan base came out, and I thought, oh, no, they're going to be pissed at me. But they weren't. They wanted me to continue. I thought, oh, oh, no. And now, to this day, I've got people saying, when are you going to do a part 7? I'm amazed I got it to 6. I thought the game was utter trash, but people love it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I hope you never have to play that one.
Well, now I'm intrigued. Now I kind of have to check it out.
Oh, dear. Whoops. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. Right. So we know who you are now. You're successful, whereas, to be fair, I think you're the most successful person who's been on this podcast so far. No. Second most successful. But I still hate you.
Hey man, listen, I don't even consider myself successful yet. I mean, yeah, the channel's doing good, and I'm very humbled and proud to reach 5,000 subscribers. That's not so, dude. When I started this channel, I didn't even think I'd get to 100 subscribers. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you can relate to that, because everybody, when you start a channel, you're like, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not. I don't know if I'm going to hit 100. I don't know if I'm ever going to hit 1,000. But I mean, if you stick with it, and just stay consistent and try to put out a quality product, eventually these things will happen,
Is that what you say the secret is then? Because everyone wants to know a so-called secret, even though I know there isn't one. But secret to success is just keep making the product good and worth watching, and just stick with it, even when times seem a bit down.
Man, that's a really hard question to answer, because there's so many factors that go into it. I mean, networking plays a big role into it. But the number one thing I like to tell people is just to make sure that you always maintain the passion, and make sure you're having fun and you're passionate about what you're making. Because if you get to the point to where it stops being fun and you stop being passionate about it and it starts to feel like work, then that's when things are going to start going downhill.
Yeah. I mean, the only advice I've ever given to people is whatever you do, don't, if you're going to do video games, be they retro or modern, don't cover too many obscure games because no
Yeah.
fucker's searching for them. So no
Yep.
fucker's going to find your video.
That's true. That's true. Unless you can like mix in an obscure game with a video where you're talking about other games that are not obscure, like a list video, then maybe you can get away with it. But
Yeah, if you covered it during, say, if you go do a video all about GameCube, and then you got to a point where you think, now I can talk about this game that no fucker's ever heard of.
yeah.
Yeah, then they're already watching the video. But if it's
Yeah.
just that game, you're probably not going to do too well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And another thing that I tell people is if you're going to start doing YouTube and you have intention of growing in a channel and trying to make it successful, you better get some thick fucking skin very quickly. You better learn to not listen to shit that people say about you and to you in comments and stuff like that. Because if you don't have a thick skin and you let that shit get to you, it's just going to ruin your day.
Now I'm really intrigued. I want to know what someone said to you.
Yeah, just, just anything and everything you can think of, man. I've had, it just depends on the video. Most of my audience, I would say 99% of my audience is amazing, just awesome people. But you get that 1% of fucker that either they hate you or they're trying to be a troll or they're just a real negative, just I hate everything kind of person, and they just get in there and they try to ruin your day. And you just gotta ignore that shit and let it slide off your shoulder and not even interact with those people. That's really the best thing to do. Just ignore them and not interact.
I do the opposite. I tend to laugh at them and say, thanks for enjoying, click subscribe. And that makes them angrier. Good. That was easy.
That's a good way to handle it too. That's definitely a good approach. But what you shouldn't do is like try to engage and argue with them. And
no, that doesn't work ever.
Yeah. That's what they want half the time anyways. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had people, the number one thing I get is one, my energy in videos is fake. It's like, no, I think I just have too much coffee and sometimes I'm buzzing. The other one is apparently I have psycho eyes, which just makes me laugh. Serial killer eyes, that's it.
Hey man, listen, that's a compliment. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've covered you and we've covered your insanity and we've covered your mum. Mm-hmm. That doesn't sound right no matter how I put it. So fuck it. Never mind. I tried. So we're going to go on to your free games. So for your modern game, what have you picked?
Okay. So it was, man, when anytime somebody asks you to pick games like this, it's always a tough decision. So I kind of went the route of I'm going to pick games based on stuff that I've played recently. And also at least one game that I feel like hasn't got the recognition that it deserves. And so the modern game that I chose is called Kena Bridge of Spirits. Came out very recently, just a few months ago, as a matter of fact. Sometime late 2021 it came out. I can't remember the exact date, but anyways, came out on PS4, PS5. I don't think it came out on anything else. I think it was a PlayStation exclusive, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Dude, it's a fucking incredible game. And here's the thing. Nobody's talking about this game, really. Nobody's really covering this game. It did not get the recognition that it deserves because, number one, the visuals are just beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful game to play from a visual standpoint and an art direction standpoint. It looks phenomenal. It really looks like you're playing like a Pixar, like a Disney Pixar kind of, whenever you watch a good Disney Pixar film, the visual style, it kind of looks like that, but a little more video gamey. But that isn't even the best part about it. And I have a feeling that's kind of what turns people off of it. They see the cover of it and you see the cover of it and you're like, well, that just looks like some kind of Disney Pixar game. But dude, let me tell you something. This game is deceiving. This game will bend you over, take your pants off, and beat your ass with a wooden board with sandpaper strapped to it. This is an
I think I'd enjoy it just for that.
Dude. Dude, this game is hard as shit. And dude, when you see the game, you're like, well, that looks like, that doesn't look like it's going to be a hard game. This game will fucking kick your ass, even on the normal difficulty. Let me just put it this way. Before I played this game, I beat Dark Souls 2 for the first time, which is one of my freaking biggest achievements in gaming, is beating that game. And when I played Kena Bridge of Spirits, some of the boss fights in Kena Bridge of Spirits gave me a harder time than almost any boss fight in Dark Souls 2.
Shit.
Dude, the boss fights in this game are extremely intense and extremely difficult. They will kill you fast. You have to learn their patterns, use all the moves at your disposal. And even the combat with regular enemies is hard as hell and really nuanced and just action packed. The game has it's a big world. It's not an open world, but it's a big world that opens up as you play the game, sort of like a Metroidvania. You get new abilities, and now you can access other parts of the world, or you can go back to older areas and find new upgrades and stuff like that.
I've always liked it when a game has that kind of feature. I should point out, just to get the picture in people's heads. So this is apparently, I'm looking at it, I've not played the game, but it's action adventure, third person.
Yep.
The character, she doesn't look too special. She seems to be a wizard or some magician shit from first appearance. What is that? She's carrying a staff or some sort of magic arrow.
So she's a spirit guide. So her role in this world is to try to guide lost souls out of this realm and into whatever the afterlife is. That's kind of her role in the game. And so a lot of these spirits are angry, and so you end up fighting them. And that's what a lot of the boss fights are. They're spirits that are angry for whatever reason, and they've become violent. So you have to fight them and kind of tame them and help guide them into the afterlife. So that staff she has, it's like, well, number one, it's her main weapon used for melee combat, ranged combat, and a lot of magical attacks and abilities. But it's also like it has something to do with spirits. So it's not really magic per se, but yeah.
So it apparently came out, and as you say, PS4 and PS5. It also came out on Microsoft Windows, but it doesn't say it came out Xbox. So I guess it's just PC.
Yep.
Is there some level of customization you can do with the game or something? Because I'm looking at this digital library of animated expressions for Kena. I'm not sure if that's part of the game or if it's just some bullshit they threw in.
That sounds like some bullshit they threw in. But I mean, you do have like a skill tree in the game. So as you play, you get experience points and you get to get different upgrades and unlock new moves and abilities. And also, other thing I want to mention is the world is a blast to explore, man, especially once you get new abilities that enable you to go back to older areas. But there's also a lot of really devious puzzles to solve as well in the game. So it's just great, dude. Like, I can't recommend it enough to people, and it really pisses me off that it's not getting the recognition and the attention that it really deserves.
Well, it has won 2 awards.
Yeah, it has won awards. I will give it that, but it's like nobody's talking about the game, man. Like in the gaming community,
I had never heard of it until you said this is one of the games I want to talk about. But it's got best independent game and best debut indie game. So it's an indie game, but it's modern because it was September last year it came out. So fuck it, it's for the modern one today.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where technically it's an indie game, but also Sony funded it. Sony funded the project, so it doesn't feel like an indie game. It feels like a big budget AAA game.
It does look fucking nice, I have to say. It's quite colorful.
It is.
The world around her seems bloody huge, but I'm not sure how far you can go without playing it, of course.
It's pretty big, man. Like it's nothing on the scale of like an open world game, but it's a pretty big world. There's a lot to explore and a lot to see. And the way that it's all kind of interconnected is pretty cool.
I wonder how much this game costs now. I'm actually very curious.
I want to say I paid $50 for my PS5 copy, but I could be wrong about that.
Actually, that's one thing it does say here. It says the PS5 version was the most downloaded digital game of the month it was released, September last year.
Interesting. Well, people aren't talking about it. So at least online, man, like, I don't know, man. I just don't see anybody talking about this game.
It probably will get spoken about more soon. There's hints of it coming out on the Switch and maybe Xbox, but who knows? Just because we're in that weird time between consoles right now. Having said that, PS5's been out for over a fucking year, so you think everyone would have just gone there.
Mhm.
But no, I don't have a PS5. I've not got much reason to get one right now.
Yeah, I mean, the only exclusive game is Returnal and Ratchet and Clank. Those are really well, and Demon Souls. So Demon Souls, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. Those are really the only. Well, yeah, Deathloop would be too, but it's fixing to be going to Xbox probably later this year. So, yeah, I get it.
It looks like a fun game, this Kenna one, but obviously I'd get the PS4 one. I don't know how much difference there would be between the two games.
There's probably not really. Maybe just slightly lowered resolution, but I doubt there's much of a difference.
How long did it take you to beat the game then?
I want to say it was somewhere around maybe 15 hours, 10 to 15 hours.
So it's a good short game then. That's good for someone who's old like me.
Yeah, and I binge played it too, dude. I couldn't put it down. I could not put it down. So I played it and beat it in a matter of like 3 or 4 days. I was hooked.
Ugh, I wish I had the option to binge play games. Fucking kids and family and responsibilities.
Life, man, life.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. Definitely don't recommend it.
What's the alternative?
Game out. What's the alternative to life? Happiness, freedom. Many call it death, but it doesn't sound that too bad of an option.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to check out this kind of Bridge of Spirits. It doesn't sound like there's much more to say about it other than the fact that I need to get it.
Yeah, and don't let the looks of it fool you, man. This is an extremely challenging game. As a matter of fact, after I beat it, I was curious if I was the only person that thought that, and so I looked it up. I just Googled Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's hard, and yeah, I'm not the only one. There's people that struggled with the difficulty. It's certainly challenging.
I'll be screaming your name soon. Then fuck you, Matt, getting me this damn game. Can't beat it. It's bullshit, rigged. Hate it. Crap.
Nah, dude. You'll be able to beat it, man. And it's not challenging in a frustrating way. It's challenging in you just have to get good at the game. You have to learn the patterns of the boss fights. Once you learn the patterns of the boss fights, they end up not being that difficult, but you'll die several times before you learn the patterns because they will fuck you up really fast.
So the world that Ken is in is very foresty-like world, but I see what you mean about Pixar.
Yeah.
Everything about it looks so Pixar.
The story in the game is straight up like a Pixar movie for sure, man. Yeah.
There's this one picture I have to describe it to you. It looks like she's got a thing on her shoulder, like a rock with furry leaf hair smiling away at her. What the fuck is that?
So that's, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because that's a mechanic that I forgot to mention. So these things, they're called, I want to say, I'm trying to remember, man, because it's been a few months. I want to say they're called rot. They're called the rot, maybe.
The rot.
They're these,
rotting away.
Yeah, something like that. So they're like these little creatures that you collect as you play the game. You find them hidden in different areas and they follow you around. And it's almost like Pikmin in a way, man. You get to command them to do different things. So you use them to solve puzzles and you also use them in combat as well. They have various combat abilities.
You use that fucking thing in combat. The only use I can think of something that cutesy looking is to throw it at a tiger.
Oh, no, dude. It's like literally a giant horde of them that you amass through the game. So you've got 20 or 30 of them at a time that you can use. So they'll like distract enemies or they'll pile on an enemy and hold him in place and almost stun him for a minute to give you a chance to get some attacks in, just different stuff like that.
Right. Okay. That's a weird one.
Yeah. So yeah, this game's got a little bit of Pikmin in it, man. Oddly enough.
It does look like it's got a lot to offer. I see what you mean about people taking one look at the cover and then going, nah, and turning away. Everyone just wants realistic graphics, this Pixar sort of image. Mm-hmm. Well, there's nothing wrong with it. Adult gamers tend to just go over it when browsing through games. That'll be the one they skip.
Yeah, and that's a shame too, man, because people miss out on some amazing gaming experiences with that kind of mentality.
Fuck me, I'm gonna have to spend more money. So thanks for that, Matt. Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome, dude. Hey, if you play it, let me know what you think about it, man. I'm real curious.
It sounds like there will be a few fucks thrown in the air, and it'll be your fault.
Dude, there were some boss fights that I fucking rage quit multiple times on, especially, dude,
Good.
especially
Now I
towards the
feel
end of
like
the
I
game.
can do that.
Yeah. It will piss you off, but not in a frustrating way, just in a you're getting your ass kicked way.
This sounds like karma for getting your mum to play Flintstones, which you better bloody do now.
Hey, yeah, I think, dude, she will roast that game. She will roast that game. I just know she will.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, there you are, everyone. That's Ken of Bridge of Spirits. We're moving on now to your retro game, which is, of course, GameCube. I have to ask, before we go on to the game title, why is GameCube such a big thing for you? You were born just a year after me, so GameCube was still a way down the line.
Yeah. So, I grew up with NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, all that good stuff. I grew up with all that good stuff, played the hell out of all that stuff. But it wasn't until the GameCube came out that I really started to consider myself a gamer. So I got a GameCube Christmas 2001 with Luigi's Mansion, and it fucking blew me away, dude. Because going from the Nintendo 64 to a GameCube, that's a huge jump. And it just absolutely blew my mind. The graphics in Luigi's Mansion, the lighting effects. And from that point on, I just became obsessed with the GameCube. And also that shortly after that, well, yeah, about 3 or 4 years after that, into the life cycle of the GameCube, I got my first job. So I was making my own money. And so for the first time in my life, I was able to buy my own games. And the only console that I had at the time was the GameCube. Well, I take that back. I did have a PS2 and an Xbox, but I didn't play them as much. So I kind of went crazy. Every time I would get paid, there would be a used game store down the road. I would leave work, go there, buy some used GameCube games. So I amassed about 90 GameCube games before I sold them like a dumbass later on in life. Which makes me sad. But yeah, so the GameCube, man, I don't know, it just it was the console that really solidified me as a gamer. And so it's not all nostalgia. That's not the only reason why I love it. I love the library. It has an amazing library of games. Now, I'll be the first to admit it doesn't have as amazing of a library as the PS2 does. The PS2 just has a ridiculous library, but the GameCube definitely has a ton of just incredible titles, especially from a first party perspective, and even several exclusive games that only came out on the GameCube that weren't first party games. So I just love the library. And when I started collecting, I decided I'm going to go for a complete GameCube collection, which I did. And then I sold it. So now I'm trying to build it back up again. So
yeah, I love hearing little stories like that. I mean, I got a GameCube for two reasons. One, a mate of mine had got the Game Boy adapter.
Oh yeah.
And he got it. He lost the receipt. He decided he didn't want it, so he sold it to me for cheap. And I thought, I've bought this, but I don't have the fucking system to plug it into. It's just I grew up with Game Boy, and I thought, the ability to play them on telly, because I missed Super Nintendo. It wasn't really a big thing over here, so I didn't even know there was an adapter at the time. So I got the GameCube adapter. Game Boy adapter for GameCube. And I thought, right, need the console. And then they brought out the black one that came with Pokemon Coliseum. I thought, oh, brilliant. Pokemon game. Oh, it's going to be better than Stadium. It's going to be the tits. Can't wait. Buy it. What a piece of fucking shit that game is. Boring as F. I hate it. Had to be said.
Hey, had to be said, I guess.
Have you played Coliseum?
I have not. So I don't have any skin in the game on that one.
Don't play it.
I'm going to eventually. I hear people say that the single player adventure mode is pretty good, though.
No, it's a book. It's a boring book.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Was Pokemon not much of a thing for you growing up then?
Oh, dude, it was huge.
Oh, really? So it was.
Yeah.
You were and still are a big GameCube fan, but you didn't play that one. That's surprising.
No. Yeah. I don't know why, man. I just never got it. And I loved Pokemon Stadium on the Nintendo 64. Played the shit out of it. Played Pokemon Snap. Yeah, I don't know why I never got those games.
No wonder you're so much cheerier than me.
Yeah, I guess I'll find out one day when I play it.
Yeah. Right. So your retro game then, because I will say to anyone out there, I know some people think GameCube isn't retro, but in my eyes, considering the year it came out, it's old enough. I'd say it's one of the last ones you could call retro at this point, though.
Yeah, so everybody's got a different definition for retro. My definition of retro at this point is any console that did not have high definition capabilities. That's my definition of retro. So I even consider the Wii to be a retro console because it did not have high definition.
I always say it's anything over 20 years.
Yeah, I mean that's a good definition too. The bottom line is there's no definitive like definition of what retro is. It's just everybody's individual opinion. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So your retro game then, Metroid Prime.
Yes. So I wanted to pick. I mean, look, dude, there's so many games I could have chosen for retro, right? So many amazing games, but I wanted to pick something on the GameCube because that's kind of my thing. That's the big thing of my channel is GameCube. And the reason that I chose Metroid Prime is because I've been playing it a lot recently for a episode of GameCube Gallery, which actually comes out. Well, I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but the GameCube Gallery episode will release on Sunday, February 27th. So that'll be my review episode for Metroid Prime. So
that will probably come out before this podcast.
Yeah.
But that's actually a good thing because now people can hear this, go, woo, and straight away to your channel to check it out.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I've been playing it a lot lately, Metroid Prime, and I played it back in the day when I was younger. Now, back in the day when I was younger and I played it, fucking blew me away, dude. That game blew my mind. I had just come off of Metroid Fusion because Metroid Fusion released, I want to say a year before Metroid Prime, or it might have even been the same year, but it released before Metroid Prime. And I remember reading about Metroid Prime and Nintendo Power and just thinking to myself, man, this game sounds like it's going to be incredible. But also I was thinking to myself, how are they going to translate the feeling of a 2D Metroid game, the essence of a 2D Metroid game into a 3D format? How's that going to work? But then I remembered, well, they've done it with Mario successfully. They've done it with Zelda successfully. So I'm sure they can do it with Metroid successfully. And sure enough, they did. I got the game when I was younger, and even though it was 3D and in first person, it felt like a Metroid game. It had the essence of a Metroid game and the same gameplay loop and gameplay mechanics, just from a different perspective. But I never did beat the game when I was younger. I made it to the final boss, which Metroid Prime is the final boss. I made it to the final boss, got my ass kicked, and I never beat the game.
Oh.
So I decided, yeah. And
I've done that so many times. You always think, why did I stop? I could have fucking beaten the cunt.
Yeah, man. And it's always bothered me. So that's part of the reason why I decided to replay it now and do an episode of GameCube Gallery on it, not only to review the game, but also to finally beat it. And I did finally beat it. And that final boss is a bitch. That final boss fight is a bitch. It took me 3 tries, which isn't too bad, but I finally beat the game. So Metroid Prime is just, man, it's just a phenomenal game all the way around. The graphics are some of the best on the GameCube. It is visually stunning with amazing texture work, amazing visual effects. It runs buttery smooth. The gameplay is fantastic. Like I said, it really captures the essence of a 2D Metroid game, but in a 3D format. And even though it's first person, make no mistake, this is not a first person shooter. This is a first person action adventure game. It does not play and feel like a first person shooter. It's kind of slower pace, more methodical. It doesn't use a dual analog setup like first person shooter games do. You move freely with the left stick, and you lock on to enemies. So you lock on. Now you can free aim by holding down the right trigger. You can free aim, but mostly you lock on to enemies and you strafe around them, kind of like you do in Zelda. You lock onto an enemy, you strafe in a 3D Zelda game, and you strafe around them and you attack them. So it's similar, except you're using, ranged attacks, beam attacks, and missiles and shit. But the game has amazing puzzles, amazing exploration, amazing progression. One of my favorite things about it, though, and this is something I feel like people don't talk about enough. So the story is fantastic. It has a really good story. But here's the cool thing about this game. This game does not throw the story in your face. They're the only character in this game is Samus. There are no other characters in this game, so it has a strong feeling of isolation and loneliness to it. There's no dialogue. You learn about the story by scanning the environment, and you get bits and pieces of the story by gathering information from the planet you're on, and you slowly start to piece together what's going on your own. So if you have no interest in the story, you can completely ignore it and just focus on the game. It doesn't shove the story in your face. It's there if you want it, but you don't have to focus on it, if that makes sense.
I'm so glad you mentioned the scanning, because I was just thinking, as you were mentioning it, I didn't grow up with it as a kid. I wish I did, because that would have blown my mind back then, but I didn't get it for years later. It's like, oh, fuck, I had been missing out. I haven't beaten the game.
It's hard.
To be honest, now you're talking about it again, it's like, maybe I'll play that later. I don't really have anything right now I'm focusing on, so maybe I'll crack that out. But I always thought I'm such a nerd. I would go in a room, make sure I'd killed everything in there first.
Yeah.
Then I would scan fucking everything. I would try to scan the chair, the chewing gum under the table. I am that sad.
Dude, I did the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's strangely addictive, isn't it? Like I have to scan everything. I must not miss anything.
Yeah, it is.
Why.
It is. And you have to make sure you scan bosses before you kill them, because you'll never get to scan them again if you don't. Because that's part of the if you're trying to 100% complete the game, you got to get all the scans in your logbook to try to 100% it.
Did you 100% it, or
nah, dude? I'm not a 100% kind of person. I'm a beat the game and move on to a new experience kind of person. Now there are a few games that I'll 100% if it's actually, conceivable to 100% it without spending hundreds of hours.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to in the end, isn't it? How much time it's going to take here. I mean, I never used to bother with being a completionist, because it was just like, no, I beat it. I enjoyed it. I've had my fun. Fuck it. But then they brought out the trophy system, and it'd be like, to prove you're a master at the game, 1, go here and shoot this guy. 2, beat this boss with a stick instead of a gun. 3, all of this crap. And you think, if I get all of these poxy little things, that means I have 100% of the game. You think, I would always get a game now, look at the trophy list. If I think it's doable and I want to do it, yes. But then every so often you'll get a game where it's like, get 7 million points on this. No, I don't want to.
Yeah, or beat this boss on the hardest difficulty without getting hit or some crazy shit like that.
Oh, I remember The Last of Us. I thought, one of the trophies, complete it on, was it insane mode? I forget the name of it, but the hardest difficulty. Yeah. I couldn't get out the first fucking area.
Dude, I can't even imagine playing that game on the hardest difficulty.
Oh, it's worth trying for a laugh, but don't go in thinking, I'm going to beat it, because you won't. I only know one guy that's done it, and even then it's like, well done being able to brag it. Unfortunately, you don't realize that's one of them things that nobody else cares about.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so you had mentioned, maybe playing the game again. So I would recommend waiting. And here's why I say that, because there have been strong rumors lately, like substantial rumors that even some media outlets have covered, that Nintendo is working on either completely remaking Metroid Prime or remastering it and re-releasing it on the Switch. It's either going to be a remaster in crisp HD, or it's going to be a complete remake from the ground up. We don't know yet, but it does sound like that's in the works, which would make sense considering Metroid Prime 4 is on, is in the works. So they, you would think they would want to get some Metroid Prime on the Switch to get people ready for Metroid Prime 4. So it might be worth holding off, or do what I did and
maybe I'll research it a bit and then check out these rumors.
Yeah,
I would love to be able to play it on the Switch, because that'll make life a fuckload easier, of course. And I'll be able to use. I admit I'm not a big fan of the GameCube controller. That's just me. I don't really like it.
Hey, listen, we can all have wrong opinions from time to time.
You talk as bad as me, twat. Well, I'll probably play it on the Wii, because I think I can use the Wii Classic controller, which is a little bit comfier for my giant hands.
So, dude, if you play it on the Wii via the Metroid Prime trilogy, then you can use Wiimote aiming, and it works very, very well for Metroid Prime. You can actually manually aim, and it works very, very well. So I would recommend getting the Metroid Prime trilogy and playing it that route.
Crap, I don't have the trilogy. I've got the games individually. Maybe I'll look into it, see how expensive it is.
I don't know about in the UK, man, but here in the States, the price is definitely going up on it, especially the special edition.
Well, tits. Maybe I'll wait for the Switch then. Maybe to be fair, if they brought out Prime again, chances are they would bring out all of them in one go.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping they just remaster all three of them, drop them all on one cartridge and call it a day. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think you'd have to build the games up from scratch again. If make them HD, it's a piece of piss for you nowadays. And yeah, then it will definitely all fit in one cartridge. If you build it up from the bottom, yeah, you're only going to be able to get one game on a cart.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't go with that option because I really don't give a shit.
And dude, I've seen people play Metroid Prime on PC on an emulator. I've seen people play it in super crisp HD, and dude, it looks great.
Ooh.
It looks great. So that's really all they need to do. They just need to remaster it in HD, clean up some of the textures, and just drop that. Just release all three of them.
I really need to check out that now. Do a bit of research, see if they are going to release it soon or anything like that. See what the rumors say as of now.
Yeah.
So back to the game. Yeah, it's first person. Yes, it's not like you're sprinting down hallways. There's a lot of scanning and getting in touch with the environment as opposed to just walking in a room and fucking annihilating everything. But you've also got the is it the mechanic where you turn into a ball? What's that called?
The morph ball.
Morph ball. Thank you.
Yep.
First time you get that in Prime, it's a little way down the line, isn't it?
Well, you have it at the very beginning of the game.
Oh yeah, you get the tutorial area, don't you?
Yeah. But then you get it. I mean, you get it like a couple hours into the game. It doesn't take long to get that ability. You just don't have some of the other along with it, like the bombs and the boost ball and spider ball and shit like that.
That was the only thing I ever found disorientating. The first time I played it, I guess I wandered off in the wrong direction a bit too much, or I just pissed around scanning everything. So it took me a fair bit long before I got the morph ball power back.
Yeah.
As you say, you get stripped of it. And at that point, I think I'm like, am I near a lava pit or some crap? Something like that. I remember rolling to my death a lot.
Yeah, that can happen for sure.
Yeah, I'm good at that. Twat.
But yeah, no, dude, I love it, man. And needless to say, my review of it that's dropping, well, in the past as of when this comes out, it's going to be a glowing review. I had a few things to say about it, just to be a little bit more critical. Like towards the end of the game, there is sort of a fetch quest that you have to go on that really bogs down the pacing of the game towards the end, and just that part I didn't like. But I mean, that was really one of the only small nitpicks. There might have been a few other things I can't remember.
It does seem to still be one of the best Metroid games out there, even amongst the 2D ones as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely think that it is. And it's also one of the highest rated games of all time. If you look at Metacritic, it's currently sitting at, I think, 97 out of 100. Shit. With like 90 critic reviews, something crazy like that. So it's one of the highest rated games out there.
That doesn't surprise me too much when you talk Metroid games, because like when they announced Dread, I wasn't gutted that they had gone with this 2D one. I didn't think, the game's shit. No, but I was just thinking, why not Prime? That's what everyone's been screaming for. So why haven't you just fucking done that?
Yeah. It's coming. It's in the works, man. And here's the way I look at it. I want them to take their time on Metroid Prime 4, man. I don't want them to release it until it's ready, until it's a damn near masterpiece. So if that means 2025, I'm okay with that, because I want them to create an amazing experience and not rush it. It sucks to have to wait, but at the end of the day, if the game comes out and it's a masterpiece, it'll be worth it.
So what you're saying is it better be perfect or you're going to get violent.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Good. Right. Yeah. We better move on now to your indie game. Now, this is an indie game I actually own and have played, but I've only played a little bit, and I can't remember why. I can't remember if I was strapped for time or there was other things I wanted to play. But at least this fucking time, someone's come on in here and I'm familiar with the indie game they're talking about. Dead Cells.
Yes,
Why
Dead
did you pick
Cells.
that?
So before I get into that, let me tell you what indie game that I was going to be my second choice. I'm not going to go into detail on it, but I'm hoping that you've played and beat this game. So I struggled between Dead Cells and Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom.
Oh, yep. I know what you're on about.
Dude, I fucking love Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, but that's not the game we're talking about. But that was my second choice. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I'll have to make sure that if anyone else comes on here in the future, if I could secure anyone else, to say, no, you're not allowed to talk about that. Because if I ever get Retro Wolf 88 back here, he's talking about that one. So it's not for you.
Yeah, dude, I love that game. But yeah, so Dead Cells, man. Dead Cells is one of my favorite indie games of all time. It's definitely up there. Very, very high on the list. It is a 2D action game with a lot going on because it's a roguelike game. It also has some Dark Souls inspiration in it to a degree. It also has some Metroidvania inspiration to it. But at its core, it is a buttery smooth action, very difficult action game that is a roguelike. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what a roguelike is, basically you start the game with basically nothing. And as you play through the run, as you go through the game, you get abilities and you get weapons and you upgrade your character in an effort to try to beat the game. But if you die, you have to start back over from the beginning. You have to start back from scratch. But along the way, every time you die, you will unlock new stuff that will make each run easier and easier over time. And eventually you'll get to the point where you can beat it because you've just unlocked so much stuff by playing and dying and playing and dying. So that's kind of the gameplay loop of Dead Cells. But what sets Dead Cells apart from other games in this genre is, number one, it's 2D. The controls are buttery smooth. It when you get into a flow in that game, man, and you get good at it, it's amazing when you're just freaking blasting through levels, just killing everything in your path with ease. There's tons and tons and tons of weapons, tons of abilities. So every time you play, it can be a completely different experience. There are also branching paths you can take to try to get to the final boss. There's all sorts of branching paths you can take that will take you on completely different levels with completely different aesthetics and different enemies. Tons of bosses, tons of secrets in the game. I've never seen an indie game packed with so many secrets. Unless you're talking about something like The Binding of Isaac, that game's packed full of secrets. But Dead Cells it's incredible. It's hard as shit, but it's one of those things where when you start getting good at the game, it feels so good to play, man. I get addicted to that game every time I play it. I'll sit and play it for hours.
It's funny you mentioned The Binding of Isaac because it says here, checking it out on Wikipedia, that it is heavily inspired by The Binding of Isaac and many Metroidvania style games. So we can see what you're into there. But it's called a Roguevania game, which is weird.
Yeah.
Here's something I'd forgotten about the game. And maybe this is what stopped me playing it, getting pissed off. It's got permadeath.
Yes. Yeah. Like any good roguelike, if you die, you have to start over from the beginning. But when you die, there is progression made between deaths. So it's not like you're starting over from complete scratch. You're always making progression even after you die, so that each playthrough will slowly get easier and easier because you're just unlocking more and more stuff.
It's weird how some games do that, isn't it? It starts on the hardest difficulty setting, then gets easier. You think you got it the wrong fucking way around, didn't you?
Well, here's the beautiful thing about Dead Cells. Once you beat it, you can make the game harder, and you can progressively make it harder and harder and unlock even more stuff and find even more secrets. So it encourages you, when you beat the game for the first time, it encourages you to bump it up to that next level of difficulty because there's more new secrets to find if you can conquer that difficulty.
Ugh. That sounds both fun and insane.
Yeah, so I beat it once on the base difficulty. I've gotten real close to beating it on that second difficulty level, but I haven't quite got there yet. And there's 5 difficulty levels to get through.
5?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't understand, but then old man syndrome here. The game includes Twitch integration. I don't know what that is. Obviously, it's to do with Twitch, not YouTube.
I have no idea what that means either.
It says allowing viewers via the stream's chat to influence the game, such as voting for which upgrade paths the player should take. Okay, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'm obviously on the wrong fucking format, so fail.
That's interesting. That's not anything that interests me. I just like the game because it's a blast and it's action packed and it's difficult. But once you get good at it, man, it feels amazing when you get good at it because you'll be flying through levels, just destroying everything. Where once that level was just completely destroying you, and it feels good whenever you get to that point.
I do find it funny how all of the reviews it's got, most of them are 9 out of 10s, but Metacritic will always do the same fucking thing. Its PS4 review is shit.
Really?
Oh yeah. If you look at it, it's a Switch 89 out of 100, PC 89 out of 100, Xbox One 91 out of 100. PS4's got the lowest with 87. It's like every review I've checked out when talking about games on this podcast, Metacritic always tends to shit on PS4. It's as if they've got something against it.
That is weird, man.
Yeah, I never knew it until I started this podcast. So I've learned a thing.
That's
Not a
weird.
thing worth knowing, but
what's weird about that is the game plays the same on every console. It has the same content on every console, so that just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, it's 2D pixel art, beautiful looking game, but really can't be that fucking different on PS4 to say the Switch or something. Surely not.
Yeah, that's odd, man. I don't understand that, but dude, man, it's just such a great game, and it does have Metroidvania elements to it because there are permanent abilities that you can unlock that will enable you to take different paths through the game that you can't take unless you find and unlock those abilities. And then those abilities persist between runs. So it has some Metroidvania aspect. And also when you get these abilities, other areas of the game, you can access more secrets and find more things once you get these abilities.
It does seem like this is probably the longest to complete game you've picked today, even longer than Metroid Prime by the look of it.
Yeah, because this is a game you could literally play for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours if you're trying to unlock everything, if you're trying to beat all the difficulties. You could spend, I've probably put over 100 hours into it easy. Easy.
I wish I had that kind of time.
Now this is 100 hours over the course of a long stretch of time, like since the game released. You know what I mean? Like I'll have moments where I'm like, I'm going to play some Dead Cells. And then next thing I know, 2-3 weeks have passed, and that's the only game I'm playing. That
sounds like me with Hollow Knight. I can go months without playing it, and then I'll pick it up, and I won't stop playing it. I'll forget everything else.
Dude, please tell me somebody has picked Hollow Knight.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's been covered. Don't you worry.
Good. That game is amazing.
Actually, I think let's see. I think that one podcast for that is coming out next Wednesday. As we're recording this, just remember, people, I record these all random, all mixed up, but I release them one guest, one without, just to keep it mixed up for variety. The problem is when I'm recording, it gets fucking confusing, thinking, when is this one coming out? I don't know. So, I've been bloody lucky. I didn't think I'd have this many people willing to be guests for this podcast, but I don't ever seem to have trouble sorting out people to say yes. It's just sorting out fucking time differences.
Yeah, man. Especially, I'm sure a lot of the guests that you get are probably here in the States, so that definitely makes it challenging.
I try to get quite a few of Americans because I don't want this to just turn into a British thing.
Yeah, right.
But so far, let's see, there's been you, Retro Rivals, the Nerd Layer, hoping to get Telesplash Gaming, but he's busy as fuck right now. Although he said yes already, but every time I say, are you free this weekend? He's like, oh shit, no. Damn it. When I get him on, I'm going to slag him off to his face on recording. Then I'll do the podcast.
Hey, you should get my co-hosts for the podcast too, Eric and Jared from Retro Gaming Pandemic. I'm sure they would be more than happy to do it.
You'll have to let me know that in Twitter again. Remind me, because I know when by the time we stop recording this, I will forget so many things.
Yeah, I'll get you connected with them on Twitter too. So
thank you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So, what else would you say about Dead Cells? The game has been out for a while now, so I think it's kind of cheap.
Yeah, you can get it. Yeah, you can get it relatively cheap, and there's a ton of DLC that has been released for it. There's of course versions of the game that you can get that have all the DLC. It won Action Game of the Year in, I want to say 2020 at the Game Awards. I'm pretty sure it was 2020 that it won Action Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and it certainly deserved it because that game is just incredible, man. And shit, just talking about it's making me want to play it, dude.
That's what you're going to do next, then, eh? I can't see any evidence of an award, but it's just not plastered all over for some reason.
Google the Game Awards Dead Cells.
Let's have a look. I'll have a look at that while you talk about what format you got it on. Because what is it you've been playing it on exactly?
I play it on the Switch just because I can switch from Switch. I can switch from playing it on the TV to playing it.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. It plays perfect on the Switch. No issues there, and it plays great in handheld mode. So I like to just chill in the bed while playing it or whatever.
Oh, I see. Well, it's been nominated for many awards, but it's won the Returnal Sony Interactive Entertainment. That's the one it had won in 21. Fuck knows.
Hold up.
Or was that Returnal as a game? Is Returnal the game that won that? Why is it telling me that when I asked Dead Cells Awards? Fuck the thing. It doesn't have a clue. I personally have this on the Switch as well, just because for some reason I love getting indie games for the Switch. I get more indie games on the Switch than on any other console, and I don't even know why.
Oh, okay. So it won Best Action Game at the Game Awards in 2018. Damn, I didn't realize this game has been out for that long. Holy shit.
Nor did I. Why the fuck did my thing tell me all of this crap when I said Dead Cells Awards and it gives me a list of other games? Returnal I'd never heard of. That's why I said it, thinking, what's that then? I'll check that out later.
Returnal's great, man. I played and beat that recently too.
Of course you have. You played and beaten everything by the fucking sound of it.
Dude, hey, my goal last year in 2021 was to beat more games, and so I accomplished that goal. I beat quite a few games in 2021.
And Returnal's another roguelike game that looks quite good, and now that's more money I'm spending. This podcast was a mistake. I'm going to be skint by the end of it. Fuck.
Just keep in mind, Returnal is a PS5 exclusive.
Oh, cock.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, on the bright side, I'm not playing that one then.
Yeah.
Don't even have the console.
But if you ever get a PS5, 100% recommend it. Returnal. It's incredible.
I will one day get one, obviously, but it's just a case of right now for me, it's not cost smart. You spend all that money to get one. It's like, what can I get? What can I play on here that I couldn't play on PS4? Very few things. You might as well wait. And by the time I can get one, there'll be a PS5 Slim at this rate.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm sure that's going to happen. Probably, shit, that could even happen before the end of this year.
Well, they were already on about building them out of more readily available parts because it's funny how they're making more PS4s now because they just can't make enough PS5s.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, man. I can't believe they're doing that.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy they're doing it because with the PS3, I love the PS3. And then PS4 came out and I thought, why did I not buy a brand new PS3 and just keep it somewhere safe?
Yeah, that's true.
I've done that with PS4 now. I got one in the cupboard and my son's broke a little while ago, his PS4, the original model. And he says, Daddy, don't you have a slim version in the cupboard? It's brand new. I've gone, yes, I do. It's fucking staying there and all. We'll get you one on eBay.
That's actually smart, man. I never thought about doing that. That's actually a pretty good idea.
I know a lot of people that do it to sell it later on. It's like, nah, because these modern disc consoles, they break very fucking easy. Just from playing them, they find a way to die. It's like my PS3, I have others, I have spares. I don't have any that's new. PS4, I got a new one, and it's a Slim, which is the most reliable console. All right, it's not as high tech as the Pro, but I would say it's more reliable than the Pro. So
yeah. And it's a bitch to take apart too, man. I fully disassembled a PS2 Slim not too long ago to clean it and change the thermal paste, and man, it was a bitch.
Yeah, nuts to that. I mean, I'm very happy I got this Slim, and I got a bargain one because it's the one that comes with Fortnite.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'll never fucking play it, but hey, it's got the console, so screw it.
Nice.
Yeah. So there we are. I think we've chatted long enough. We've gone on about Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, Metroid Prime, and Dead Cells, the indie game that's been around for longer than either of us realized.
Yeah, I did not realize it's been out for that long, but I guess it has 4 or 5 years now. 5 years probably.
See,
Yeah.
you're getting old now. Time's passing by, zooming past you, and all that
Dude,
shit.
I feel old, man. I feel old. That's for sure. And I don't understand any of this. I don't understand the newer generation, dude. And that makes me feel even older for saying that. But dude, I don't fucking understand kids these days, dude. I just don't.
You don't have kids, do you?
I do not. So that
Smart.
doesn't help.
Very smart. That's why you're able to say, I've beaten this game. Me, it's like, I own it. It's on a shelf.
Yeah.
That's the big difference.
Yeah. I do have a lot of furry kids though, so I will say that, but it's different. It's different.
Ah, you're a furry, right? I understand.
No.
Okay.
Hold on. Furry kids as in pets.
I love how you jumped to clarify that.
Yeah. I hey, look, if you're a furry out there listening and you're a furry, cool. You know, I'm happy for you, but it's not my thing. I'm not into it.
That's right. If you're a furry and you're out there, message Matt. He's got a lot to talk to you about. He's just trying to be nice here. But thank you very much for being a part of this shit tonight, mate.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to get you on the podcast. We'll have a lot of fun, man. I don't know. I got to think about like what kind of topics I want to talk about when I get you on, but we'll come up with something good.
Excellent. Can't fucking wait.
Yeah,
so.
Man.
Thank you, everyone, for checking out this episode of the 16 Bitchin' podcast. Please check out Retro Wolf 88, the channel, and Retro Wolf podcast. Also, Mama Wolf, which is funny as fuck and needs more subs, deserves more subs.
Yes, I've really been trying to build her channel up. We finally crossed 100 subscribers about a month ago, so that felt good.
How old is that channel? I forgot to ask.
Well, you know, her videos started on my channel, and then we split it off into its own channel. But her channel, we started early to middle of 2021 is when we started our channel.
They are still a good young channel then.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll put all of the links to all of them things, podcasts, both channels, in the description for this podcast. Please check them out. And I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.
Later, everyone.